There's some places in the world where somebody can get accused of something and get pronounced guilty with very little thought put into it, but they're given a way to prove their innocence. What they do is they bury them into a hole up to their chest, tie their hands behind their back, and they tell them if they can get out of that hole, that they're innocent and they can go about their life. Just to make it a little more challenging, they let about 100 of the community's finest outstanding members stand around in a circle and throw big rocks at them, big stones at them, while they attempt to get out of the hole. If you've never seen that, I don't suggest you go looking for it. It's probably one of the more gruesome things you'll ever see. What made me think of that? Well, it's kind of an interesting way to judge someone, don't you think? Here, we've made up our mind, and we're going to make it impossible for you to change our mind, regardless of the truth. There's a Pink Floyd song called The Trial. And one part in the song, the judge says, "The evidence before the court is incontrovertible. There's no need for the jury to retire. In all my years of judging, I've never seen someone more deserving of the full penalty of the law." And he goes on to say, "I sentence you to be exposed before your peers." So we've all been judged on our appearance, what our hair looks like, whether or not we have a beard, if we're too fat, if we're too skinny, what our clothes look like, what we talk like. There's no end. Every single one of us has been judged. Probably today, every single one of us has been judged by someone. So it only stands to reason, if we've all been judged so much, and there's not just one person out there doing the judging, it probably stands to reason that we've all judged someone in such a manner. Wouldn't you think? I think if you take an honest look at that question, and you can say, I have never judged someone, then you ought to be out giving seminars on how you've accomplished that for your whole life, because people need to understand how to do that or how not to do it. And if you've never done it, you're probably the only person in the world that's perfect enough to tell somebody how to accomplish that. In that Pink Floyd song, the guy's being judged and being sentenced to be exposed before his peers, to open himself up, to let them look at him, who he really is, what he thinks, who he, at the core, who he is. He's been trying to hide it. He's built a wall between himself and society and his family and his friends. And it's caused problems. And now he has to expose himself to them. So the way we judge somebody isn't quite like digging a hole and putting them in it, throwing stones at them. But I think it's a pretty decent analogy of the way we judge people, especially online. These people in the hole have no defense whatsoever. And chances are, if they had some sort of equal defense against the judgments being hurled their way, most of those people would run away. They wouldn't be sitting there hurling stones. They'd be too afraid they were going to get hit with a stone. It's like that on the online, I think, and even in real life. I mean, it's way too easy to tell somebody you think they don't look right or they don't whatever when they can't crawl through that phone and confront you or that computer screen. And we do it in public, in daily life. We judge people all the time. You think to yourself, that guy is an idiot. That guy looks this way. That guy should do this. That guy should do that. But you rarely go up to that guy and say, you're an idiot. You should cut your hair. That shirt looks horrible on you. Why? Why is it okay for you to think that, but you're too chicken to go up and tell him that? You know why. It's because when we judge people like that, we're not exposing something about them. We're exposing something about us. And that's tricky, too painful for some people to do. They would have to be sentenced to tear down their wall before they're going to let somebody see that about them. It's too easy to pretend. It's a lot easier to judge me for what the outside of my house looks like than it is to judge yourself about what the inside of your house looks like. It's just easier, right? It's the same thing with people. It's a lot easier to judge what the outside looks like about them than it is to judge what your inside looks like. And in both cases, doing one and not doing the other is probably a pretty cowardly act. What got me thinking about that? A couple of videos I saw recently. You probably saw them too. One of them was Cobbett of the Shire, where he was talking about having shaved his beard off and got a bunch of comments, and then he was talking about people that he's known in the past that had been judged on their appearance, how it affected them, how it changed things when it came out into the open. Really interesting video. There were a lot of interesting comments on his original video where he shaved his beard off. You know, I don't suppose to know, and I don't want to imply that, what Clayton Orr might think about the situation. You know, Clayton's blind. I would be willing to bet when he watches Cobbett of the Shire's video from yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, versus one of his videos from 2 weeks ago, he notices no difference whatsoever. Now, that may sound stupid or simplistic. Think about it. When he experiences someone, sees someone, for lack of a better term, hears someone, associates with someone, he's got a unique perspective because his perception is not clouded by something, whether they wear glasses, whether they have, mottled skin, whether they have a beard, whether they're fat. None of that. He just sees the person as much as the person lets him see them. And in a lot of ways, I'm envious of him. I try not to judge people, but it's impossible. It's practically impossible. There's always something in our heads, in our hearts, that pushes us in one direction or another when we meet somebody. I think you hear about first impressions, that most people have made up their mind about somebody within the first, 30 seconds or something of meeting them. Do you think everything about you that's important, that makes you who you are, can be imparted in the first 30 seconds of meeting somebody? If it can't, what makes you think anyone else can? That can be imparted about anyone else? We need to be careful. We're probably not going to kill anybody with our impressions, but we can definitely affect somebody with our impressions. Think about all the bullying stuff that goes on and all the horrible outcomes that have come from some of that. That's a real thing. Think about people's self-esteem and stuff like that. It's affected. We affect it. They affect it themselves. Society affects it. Situations affect it. Why would you want to add to somebody's misery or add any amount of negativity to somebody's life just based on some stupid impression that you've got? Doesn't make any sense. Think about it.